Hi, welcome to Simple Shifts, conversations to fuel your body, mind, and soul. I'm Martha McKinnon from the blog Simple Nourished Living, and with me is my brother and partner, Peter Morrison.
Hi there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you
I'm
today?
doing really well. So for our podcast topic today, we're going to be exploring the best ways to boost your self-control. Do you feel like sometimes your self-control needs a boost?
Maybe.
Maybe. Before we get into that whole discussion though, what's going really well in your world?
Let me just look at the spreadsheet, but I'm happy to report that I believe this is podcast episode 23. So we're quarter of a way to 100, whatever that means. It's something.
It means
Halfway to 50,
it means something,
it means
right?
something that we're still working at it and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I read a great quote that I'm going to have to look it up because I thought it was really good and it speaks to so much of our lives. It was so good I jotted it in my phone. I wanted to remember it. Oh, of course, but then you can never find it when you want it. Oh, time plus attention equals results.
Hmm.
Time plus attention. So really, I mean, and that speaks to everything that we're trying to accomplish in life, right? If we focus on it, if we give it enough time, if we pay attention, we'll move forward. And these podcasts are a great example. We've taken the time and attention to show up to the point where we're at episode 23. And it's so analogous, I think, to anytime you're trying to change your behavior, let go of an unhealthy habit, build a healthy habit, whenever you're trying to accomplish something in life, right? It's about focus, time, and attention. Attention and focus sort of being the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about our topic for today, the best ways to boost your self-control? This comes to me. I've started another book. I'm in this phase right now where I'm reading lots of books. And this is a book called the title of the book is called The Willpower Instinct. And it was written by Kelly McGonigal, who's a psychologist, researcher, teacher at Stanford. And she's made it you know, she calls herself a health psychologist, where she really focuses on the psychology of health and wellness and trying to help people live their best lives. And this book came out of a course that she taught on helping people develop, better habits and figure out ways to strengthen their self-control.
I think initially it has not to be all Debbie Downer, but it has kind of a negative connotation, right? To boost your self-control, because it kind of implies that we have no self-control.
Well, do you feel like sometimes we don't have the self-control that we intend? Like we say we're going to get up and accomplish something tomorrow, and at the end of the day we haven't accomplished it, or tomorrow I'm going to get to the
Yeah.
gym and I don't get to the gym. Do you feel like in life there are things that you intend to do that you have
Clean
difficulty?
off my desk.
Huh?
Clean off my desk, which I've been meaning to do for about 6 months now, and the piles just keep growing. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think we do in life, if we step back and think about it, there are things we're trying to accomplish in life, intentions we have to get things done that don't seem to get done, right? Or habits that we intend to break that don't seem to get broken. And so there's lots of research lots of research around it. And I guess this is one of my areas of interest. So I've read quite a bit on, habit formation. And really, when we're talking about self-control, we're just, I think, talking about the ability to execute on what we are, on our intentions and what we're intending to do.
Mm.
Instead of getting distracted and swept away through the circumstances of our life, to really set some intention, some internal guidance for ourselves, and then being able to execute it without ending up off track because of all of the busyness and the distractions that can come up in our lives. And I think that's really true for me. I mean, that's a big part of, the whole weight loss journey and what it's meant for me. The fact that there were many, many days where I woke up and said, tomorrow's the day. I was
Mm.
unhappy in where I was in my life and not being able to fit into my clothes and feeling overwhelmed and feeling as though I was being controlled by food, and cravings, and just not being able to figure it out. Not, I perceived that I didn't have the kind of self-control that I wanted around the food. And so,
So why do we tell ourselves tomorrow, like tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow? Why isn't it I'll start now, or
yeah, well, so why do you think that is?
I don't know, but it seems to happen a lot.
Right.
There must be there.
I think, well, I mean, I think what and again, I'm just a regular person. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a counselor. I have no credentials beyond a real interest in this topic. But I think what I'm coming to understand is that because of the design of our brains and our bodies, because of evolution, because of the survival instinct, we are really, the way that our brains and bodies work is that we're creatures of habit, and that we tend to repeatedly do what we've done the day before, because these ways of being just get really, really deeply ingrained. They talk about in our brains this whole concept of neurons that fire together, wire together. It's just sort of like we just keep repeating today what we did yesterday. And if yesterday the alarm went off and we hit snooze and we rolled over, there's a good chance that that's what we're going to do today, unless we take some real conscious steps to try to change, that way of being. So there's a lot of science, I think, that says that why we say tomorrow is because it's easier, and we're sort of, as humans, there's part of us who just likes the path of least resistance. Does that make sense?
Mhm, unfortunately. So I must say I've been struggling a bit because the older I get, I know like strength and balance is going to be more important
Hmm.
as I age. And I've been telling myself I need to go to the gym. I need to start strength training. I've had several gym memberships over the years. Now I live in a community where I have access to a gym, and it still hasn't happened. I'm getting closer, but I'm still not
Yeah.
there. But 4 or 5 days ago, I did start. I'm like, I'm gonna start doing
Uh-huh.
push-ups. So I I'm sad to say I'm still not good at like the full like regular push-ups. I do like from your
Hmm.
knees, just so it's not your full body weight. It's just um and I said, well, and I like did
Hmm.
10, and then the next day I did a couple more, and then a couple more. So while I'm not yet going to the gym and like have a strength training routine, I have started. It's usually at night, kind of the end of the day, before bed. But I have been consistent at least with um, following through,
Well, good for you. And
trying to.
are you celebrating that? Are you congratulating yourself? Are you patting yourself on the back?
Not
Like,
really. I'm trying to keep the streak going at this
well, that
point.
brings me up, like, because I do love this whole topic of habits, and I've read many, many books about habits. And one of the books was called that I read was called Tiny Habits. And in that book, the author strongly suggested that, again, you make the habit as tiny and small as possible, that you link it to something that you do regularly so it's really obvious. Like you said, you're linking it to right before bed. Or some, in his example, he tied it to each time he went to the bathroom. He worked from home, so that was okay. It would have been a little weird maybe if you were in an office setting, but every time he came
Mm-hmm.
out of the bathroom, he would do a push-up. But what you learn is that if you get down to do a push-up, you're going to do more than one, usually, in my experience. So I've played with that a lot. But then once you do it, you find a way to celebrate. You high five yourself, you give yourself a little boost somehow, and that somehow with the way the brain works with dopamine or the rewarding system, it can be really just another powerful piece of just encouraging
Mm.
your your inner being to do it and want it again. So maybe after your push-ups, you just give yourself a little high five, little fist pump, and just like, sort of pat yourself in the back and see if that makes it even a little easier.
I'm hoping it builds to the point where I do want to do more.
Well, it's interesting because as a result of reading this book, Kelly McGonigal, I'm really loving. I've mentioned it here a few times. I think the Happier app, and lo and behold, in the Happier app, there is a course. It's a I don't know how many part course. I just started it, but it's a course on building healthy habits. And Kelly McGonigal, lo and behold, turns out to be one of the creators of the course, along with another meditation teaching expert. And so I'm starting to work my way through that. And I love these little courses because they're usually about 15 minutes of video in length. So it's not a huge commitment. But one thing that Kelly mentioned in terms of building habits and what her philosophy and her approach is that when you're trying to really build a habit, if you can link into that, link into why, really the why of why you're wanting it, that can be very, very helpful. Um, so
Mm.
the bigger your why, um, and the more it aligns with, your values and your priorities, the more strength that habit is going to have as you try to build it. If it's just sort of willy-nilly and it's kind of sort of like, well, it'd be kind of cool if I did this. Um, there are so many ways that life can get in the way of a goal like or a habit like that. But if you've got a really, really significant why, um, then that can be helpful in giving you that extra push, that extra motivation to keep you on track as you work to build it. Once it's a habit, it's easy, but it's just getting to that point where it's automatic.
Yeah, I think I need to work on that why
The
probably a
why,
little bit
yeah,
to strengthen
because I
it.
think for
Yeah,
me,
to strengthen.
my why has become really, really strong and really, really consistent, and it is my why for wanting to be healthy and happy and strong and flexible is that I want to grow old. I say oftentimes that I want to grow old gracefully and vibrantly, and I want to enjoy life and maintain my independence and the ability to do the things I want to do for as long as I can. And I know that, like you said, I mean, if we don't take those steps as we age of building our strength, of building our balance and flexibility, then our world can get smaller and our ability to do things can get lessened and we can become more dependent upon um, others. And we don't have, I'm in a situation where I can't call the children to say, help me up. I've fallen today. And so that's an
Hmm.
extra boost, I think, in motivation in my thinking to just try to, and that's can be real strong and real powerful. I mean, um, fitting in the jeans maybe used to be the goal, but when you're really as you age and as you start to witness people who are suffering from the loss of wellness and the loss of health and the loss of strength, I mean, I think it can be for me just a real strong motivator to push past the few minutes of discomfort to try to stay healthy.
But interestingly enough, I have no problems popping out of bed at 6 a.m. to try to go play pickleball at 7 or at a certain time. Or, you got to call a certain time of the day. Hey, are you available? And it's like that is so
So what do you think's different?
less.
Like, what's different? And is there some way that you could make the strength, is there some way that you could take um, the pickleball feeling and transfer it into like the strength training? Is there something that you could do to make it more like pickleball?
Well, I've been playing pickleball much longer, so it's a bit more ingrained, or it's a bit more, it's much
Hmm.
stronger draw for me. This other thing is new, focusing on that. So it's at a much earlier stage of developing as a habit, as a lifestyle. So there's that.
Right. And I think of
Um,
pickleball, it's interesting because in this, going back to this course that I'm watching through the Happier app, this healthy habit building course. I mean, uh, Kelly McGonigal was working with a group of people, one of whom wanted to build the going to the gym or wanted to build the fitness habit. And he was really struggling, as you did, because he said, well, I should get up and go to the gym or I should join CrossFit, but it just seems like such an uphill battle. And when he was queried about what his real values were, what was really important to him, he talked about like connection, social, something like he wanted to connect with people. He was looking for social, and he enjoyed hiking and rock climbing. And so what he ended up doing is joining sort of a climbing hiking group, which gave him what he was really seeking. So he was going to get the
mm,
fitness in addition to what he was really, really looking to get. So I'm just wondering, might the same be true for you if you were able to meet somebody would it make a difference if building the strength was
mm.
done in partnership or in a more social way? Would that make it a lot more easy and a lot more fun to accomplish? If oftentimes like a workout partner can be so helpful.
It might be because it would, yeah, the way I'm thinking of it, like doing push-ups, well, it's just me doing push-ups. If I want to go to the gym, it's just me. It's kind of a solo
Right.
activity, whereas pickleball is a very social, and I'm sure that's a huge piece of it because for the most part, I really enjoy the people that I do play with,
Right.
and
So I'm just wondering if
yeah.
maybe there are some people you're playing pickleball with who have the same challenge where, they know they
Mm-hmm.
would be benefited from, strength training, flexibility training. So maybe there are a few of your pickleball friends who might be willing to also partner up with you, um, to do strength training
Yeah.
or to do exercise a couple times a week. And I think that could probably change the whole experience to where now it becomes something you look forward to instead of something you're trying to force yourself to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Always worth
Yeah,
the
it's worth.
exploration, right? Yeah. So in relation to the self-control, I think we're sort of hitting on some of what the science says about what causes us, for example, to bypass the pantry and not grab, the cookie. What kind of self-control do we need to hit the gym or to stick with making the healthy choice when we go out to lunch versus, opting for
Mm.
um, the burger and fries? What kind of things can we do to boost our self-control? And as I was reading this, I was kind of dumbfounded by what I discovered, because what I discovered was that I'm doing a lot of the things that naturally build self-control without ever having the understanding that these things can help with self-control. So I found that like very surprising. And and I guess it helped. I began to wonder, are all these things that I'm doing helping me to be where I am today? Because I often look back and say I struggled for so long, with my relationship with food and weight. And I'm to a place where suddenly it seems effortless. And I automatically attribute a lot of that to what I learned, like we've talked about through mindless eating, and we can link in the show notes to the discussions we've had around the mindless eating book. But as I was looking at this list, I thought, I wonder if part of my ability to stay on track is as a result of these things that I'm doing that I didn't even realize were helpful. So the first thing that comes up um, in in a way to boost your self-control is to slow down your breathing. So again, it's about getting into that out of the flight or flight response and into a more relaxed state. So when you're in that place of needing to get to the gym, even though you'd rather just sit on the couch, or needing to say no to the cookie jar or the donuts in the lunchroom, actually just slowing down your breathing, just doing deep breathing, slowing down your breathing. And I've been doing yoga now for 25 or more years, and breathing's a big part of that. And so I do a lot of breathing exercises. Is breathing something? I know you were doing yoga for a while, Peter. Is focusing on your breathing, slowing down your breathing, is that something you do like in pickleball if you're in a stressful situation? Is slowing down your breathing something you turn to help with control?
It is, but that's sort of the only time that I'm aware of
Yeah.
it, and I actually consciously try to incorporate it. Um, Definitely.
So breathing, and again, we'll link out to some breathing exercises. So it's really just about taking nice, slow, deep inhales and deep exhales, and trying to extend your exhale is very soothing to your system. So playing with breathing, playing with deep breathing, trying to slow down your breathing. The suggestion in the book is to slow it down to where you're breathing 4 to 6 times per minute. So, and if every day you started to just practice taking 5 minutes at some point in the day just to practice deep, slow breathing, over time you may find that that helps you with your self control. So that was the
Hmm.
first thing. The next thing was like exercise. Exercise came up as like the magic elixir for helping for people to have just better modulation of their willpower, and specifically just even like 5 minute little doses of exercise movement outdoors. There's a magic of being in nature and of moving your body, and even in 5 minute bursts, just like a 5 minute walk outside shows showed up in the research as being very beneficial for helping you to boost your self-control.
What do you think that's tied to? I mean, what do you like endorphins or
Yeah, I mean, Brenda and I
um
last year did a really interesting, it was it was put on by an organization up in Wisconsin called Trees for Tomorrow. And it was um a class where we were all just sort of walking in the woods. And it started in Japan with this whole concept of nature bathing, right? This whole concept of just
mhm.
there's something very powerful that happens to our bodies, minds, and souls when we're in nature. And I think it's just really we're animals at our core. And I think our biology, I was just reading something recently that said, you know, humans are 99.9% all the same. And you think about all the variation of humans, but from a DNA perspective, it was only like 0.1% that differentiates us. And we're very, very much, like evolutionarily the animals from which we've evolved over the millennia. And so I think there's some things that are just not even sort of understood completely through science
Mm,
yet, but
mm.
it's you're able to measure the benefits even without totally understanding the why of it. So, do you notice just in how you feel, like if you get out into nature, how that makes you feel versus being
Well, yeah,
inside?
we pretty much have a routine where we walk sometime in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a park near us. We walk down to the park. It's probably takes us, I don't know, 30 minutes or
Yeah.
so. But absolutely.
Yeah. So there's just something magical about nature. We're we are creatures of nature, even, but we've been removed, right, from nature more and more. And I think we suffer some of the negative effects of it. And I think just getting back in nature
Well,
can be helpful.
that makes me think of something. I don't even know where I came across it. And I know you've done some experimenting with like grounding, but I've read things that said even just like taking your shoes and socks off and going out and standing in the
Hmm.
grass somehow has some kind of grounding,
Yeah.
connecting. I don't know. I'm not describing it very well, but and I've done that a few times purposely, and it's weird. It does do something. Because if you think about it, we have shoes on. There's like we're always insulated from the earth,
Right.
from not from nature. You're outside a lot,
Right.
but it's
It is
interesting.
interesting. And I mean, we can get really, really woo-woo here, right? I mean, because all of this seems so real. But when you talk about like quantum theory, it's been proven that everything, you know, when you take an atom and you break it down, 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 we're really just talking about, waves and particles and space.
Hmm.
Everything that seems so real at its most fundamental is really just space and um, particles and waves and information. And there's a lot of talk about vibration and the earth. I mean, it is proven that the earth is a big magnet. I mean, people who study this will tell you that. And I did study and I have read a little bit about grounding. And one of the founders of this whole concept remembers back to his childhood where he lived in close proximity to, he had Native American friends and family. And he remembers as a young child, like when the Native American elders would say to the kids, like, take off your shoes, they're going to make you sick. They sort of still had
Mm.
this understanding that to be connected to nature, to be in your bare feet was just very healthy for you. And over time, we've just sort of lost that understanding. Pretty cool,
Well, I know I've got yard work to do later today, and it's like I love digging in the dirt.
right?
It's like
So some
no gloves, just get your hands dirty. If something about it
Right.
just
It
feels
feel and so
feels
and
good.
I think we have to start to trust. I think there's I mean, I'm getting more and more into the fact that we have this inner wisdom and this inner knowing, and we have to trust it. And when something feels that good, even if we don't totally understand the
Hmm.
science or the why, I think if we trust that, then it can help us immensely to just go with our instincts, go
Hmm.
with our gut, go with this sort of inner wisdom and inner knowing. Yeah. So take off the shoes, play a little bit in the dirt and just notice how good it makes you feel. And if anything feels that good, it's going to naturally put you out of the
Hmm.
stress response, right? And into that relaxation response. And we know that that's where healing happens. So,
Right. Well, think about going to the beach and taking your shoes off and walking in the sand or walking in the surf or the surf's
right?
breaking. Like it's like,
It
oh
feels
my
so
goodness.
good. And anything that feels that good,
Hmm.
it's good for you. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. So far we've talked about the importance of slow breathing, about exercise and particularly exercising outdoors. The next big one was sleep, like getting enough sleep, getting a good
Mm.
night's sleep. And if you are sleep compromised, figuring out how to nap as a way to just replenish your self control. Because all of the science does show that over the course of the day, your self control, wanes and that it is much more compromised if you're sleep deprived. So, sleep is another big consideration if you're looking at just living an overall healthy life and you're looking at better management, development of your habits and self control.
I'm not good in that
You're
department.
not good at sleeping or taking naps?
Terrible at taking naps. And sleep, not
Not
great.
great.
Yeah, not great.
Is-
How
Yeah,
about you?
I sleep really, really well. If sleeping were an Olympic sport, I would be a contender. I think that I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed that I do. And this has been true I have college, friends. When you live in a college dorm, the space is so small and you've got bunk beds close to one another. And I used to be frustrating to my college roommates, even back in those days. I mean, there are times, of course, where sleep can be, compromised, but overall, I feel very fortunate that my sleep is pretty good and that I can not necessarily nap, but the final thing that comes up in terms of a way to help boost your control is learning to relax. And so even if I can't sleep necessarily,
Mm.
again, and I think the yoga training helped me with this, the whole concept of, shavasana, that final relaxation at the end of yoga class, which yoga teachers will tell you is just as integral as the main, movement time of the yoga class. And so even if I can't sleep, I'm pretty good about recognizing when I need to just like chillax for 5 or 10 minutes. And so if you can learn to just put yourself, lie down or, sit in a really comfortable position, recline in some way, get yourself comfortable. From the yoga days, I love lying on the floor with legs on a chair or legs on the wall and just sort of focusing on my breathing and a lot tuning into my body, doing sort of a body scan and just encouraging my body to just relax and chill. And so that's another suggestion to just really learn how to consciously, take 5 or take 10 to just allow your body to relax. And if you've never done that, there can be a little bit of a learning curve. But I know that in the time that I've taught group yoga classes, oftentimes I feel as though the students came to class just like for permission for Shavasana, because I think we live in a world of do, do, do. And sometimes I think we feel
Mm-hmm.
guilty about just
Mm-hmm.
not doing. And yoga is one of those times, the end of yoga, where you're sort of given permission and encouraged to just not do. And I could just
Mm-hmm.
watch people let go and, just watch their whole bodies just melt and relax and kind of benefit from that experience.
Yeah, for me, and I know what you're talking about because when I was going to yoga regularly, I used to love
Yeah.
that. But I'd say my sleep now, I'm not consistent for the times that I go to
Hmm.
sleep. I mean, I've got work to do, or I've got this to do, and I feel like you're kind of scrambling, and then you just go to bed.
It's a
I
problem.
tend to wake up before I necessarily want to, and whether it's anticipation or my wheels start
Hmm.
spinning. But I'd say every 2 to 3 weeks, I just feel like I hit the wall, and we have dinner. We tend to eat on the later
Hmm.
side, but we'll have dinner and like 8:30 rolls around, and I'm
Hmm.
done. I just say I'm going to bed, and then invariably I'll wake up like feeling awesome the next day, and it's like I need to do that again tonight, but it'll be another couple weeks before I'm able to actually get there. But
Well, once you focus on it, I mean, again, like anything, I think you need to focus and make it a priority. And once you make it a priority, you can start to tune into there's so much out there to help you in terms of techniques, for winding down, for
mm,
creating good sleep habits, lots of meditations, guided meditations on how to sort of relax and chillax and prepare to go into sleep. And so once you're ready to really focus on it, there's a lot of support out there in tools to help you with your sleep. So I think that's sort of a wrap on what I know about the willpower instinct so far. I'm going to continue to read the book and maybe we'll have some future episodes based on more that I learn. But for now, if you really feel like you struggle around self-control of getting done what you want to get done, of you know, sort of engaging in habits that you're trying to break, take a look at and consider these these steps. And all of these steps are interesting to me because while they're related to self-control, they're all just related to overall health and wellness. And so that's what
mm,
tends to be cool about this. I think that whenever you do one thing that's good for you, it's not good for just one thing, it's good for lots of things. Getting better sleep, breathing, exercise, relaxation. While these are good for your self-control, they're good for your overall health and wellness. So it's like a, win-win whenever you
And I think they all seem to be like about slowing down.
well, I think that's the other big part of it. I think that what I've come to understand, what I've really come to see in myself is that change has to start with awareness. And you build awareness through slowing down and being able to pay attention and sort of noticing if you're going through your life on autopilot, lost in space, lost in your thoughts, lost in your story, your activity, your movement. I mean, I don't think change is even possible at that point because you're not even aware that you want to change or that it's possible. So I think you're right. That's a wonderful observation that all of this is talking about ways to slow down and to become more present. I mean, it's only by being present, by being aware that you can start to notice things about yourself, notice the
Hmm.
way that you're doing things, and then start to realize that you want to make changes and shifts. So absolutely. It all really starts with sort of slowing down, and sort of paying attention and tuning in instead of just being lost in the busyness and the distraction of our lives.
Very good. A lot to
A
think
lot to
about.
think about. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, we would love for you to like or subscribe to our channel and or please share with friends and others as we try to build our presence here in the world of podcasts.
Thank you. Have a
Thanks,
good day.
everyone. We'll be back soon.